I lost my phone underneath my bed last night. I was supposed to go to the airport for a work flight to a corporate meeting in some offshoot of our company. I wanted a quick cat nap, winding down from a stressful day at work, so I listened to some relaxing music. Orchestral music of Dmitri Shostakovich danced through my ears in a waltz. Maybe it was the tired stupor I was in, but just as I was going to plug in my phone and call it a night, I dropped it. The way my bed is set up, two sides touch a wall, and I sleep with the headboard against the corner. There's an outlet in the corner, and I usually let my phone rest in the nook between my mattress and the wood frame as I sleep. Of course, I needed my phone fully charged for the next day. My phone was older, it drained pretty quickly, and I needed it, charged for company business. So I looked at the thin crack between my bed and the wall. It couldn't have gotten far, right? Much to my annoyance, my phone was nowhere in sight. Though it was dark, I hadn't thought to turn on the lights to search. I couldn't see anything but muddy shadows and dust bunnies hiding in the wooden floor. I could still hear my music though, so I knew it hadn't been sucked into some portal. Classical, as it turned out, was a good enough backdrop to lull myself to sleep, and I found myself nodding off within minutes. I awoke to silence. Maybe it was the total nothing that woke me up, or maybe the music had died long before I woke up, but I could swear I wasn't asleep for very long. That feeling like it's been nothing more than a blink, but really you've been asleep for hours? The window was pitch black, darker than when I'd fallen asleep, and since I lived alone, there were no other noises to be spoken about. Crickets, owls, wind could all be heard from the window, but inside the house held nothing but a faint ringing in my ears, a remnant of my slumber. Immediately, I could tell I wouldn't be going to fall asleep again. Too alert, too awake, but still in need of a good cup of coffee, I shuffled my way into my kitchen to fix myself a pot. Muscle memory dictated my movements, and without even needing to open my eyes, I was easily able to get the pot started. When I did open my eyes, there wasn't any difference between the void in my head and the shadows outside. In retrospect, maybe the power went out in my area. Maybe there was an electrical surge. Maybe I didn't pay the electric bill. But none of those seemed quite right. The microwave had no glowing number to tell me the time. There were no streetlights lit, no cars, not even the glowing red little dot on my coffee maker was lit. Yet, I could hear the swinging of the streetlights from the wind. I could hear the cars moving past my house. I could hear my coffee being brewed. Where was the light? Maybe I was in a dream. I poured myself my coffee and scorched my tongue. No dream. Maybe I had gone blind. I couldn't rule that out at the time. Maybe, just maybe, my bed was a portal to another world that was exactly like my own, but shrouded in darkness. Definitely not. I mused and mused, the sky not giving any indication of time, with no moon hanging in the sky and no stars peeking through. Minutes, hours, days passed and I still saw no light. My eyes began to ache, and sparks of light seemed to dance across my eyes as they strained to see in the darkness. Shadows, though everything was a shadow, waltzed along the walls. Dark figures passed by, and I saw faces in the dark that I knew couldn't be real. They grinned at me, taunting with a flash of something I couldn't even fathom to have myself. Their own light illuminated their faces and twisted their features into grotesque masks. I could recognize a few, but most were foreign to me. The recognisable ones scared me the most. Minutes, hours, days. Honestly, I grew bored. There's only so much you can do in the darkness. You can't draw or paint. My computer didn't appear to have any light, and I didn't want to risk going outside in case I got hit by a car that I couldn't see. So I stayed in my house, exploring the way my house felt without light. Despite the ease of navigation to the kitchen, where I visited every day for a cup of coffee, traversing to other parts of the house was not as easy. My guest rooms were just a hallway away from my own, but I rarely visited them, even when I could see, and the path felt awkward. The bathroom was easy to find, but the basement was harder because of a brief flight of stairs that creaked and groaned under my weight. Minutes, hours, days. I saw a streak of light come from the attic one day. It nearly blinded me when I first saw it, and it rained down the cracks of wood that made up my hallway flooring. Blue-white and cold. It burned my retinas as I gazed upon the rays. When was the last time I had seen light? Minutes, hours, days. I had to close my eyes. Too much light. I breathed in deep and exhaled, again and again. In, out. Too bright. It hurt. When I opened my eyes, the light was still there, and I was ready for it. I looked at the blue-white and reached towards the handle that would open the hatch to the attic. The frayed rope nearly snapped, but I got the wooden ladder down with ease, using the light that I'd been given. Bright. I slowly climbed the ladder, rung by rung, wooden step by wooden step. I approached the opening to the attic. I could hear something. What was it? The light grew brighter and harsher. The noise louder and more jarring than anything I'd heard before. Like a battle crashing through my head, the symphonies of Dmitri Shostakovich deafened me as I made my way into the attic. A pillar of light hailing down upon me. My phone sat atop my dusty suitcase. Light glaring down at me and music blasting. I grabbed my phone and after turning down the volume, used the light to look at the suitcase. Years of neglect had rendered the leather exterior worn. Tracks of dust from where I'd run my fingers across the front. I opened the suitcase and peered inside. A grotesque hand reached out at me, grasping at the air, and I nearly dropped my phone again as I scrambled to close the suitcase. Bloody fingers pried at the edges of the bag, bloody and writhing as I forced it closed. I slammed the suitcase down, holding it tight, and I squeezed my eyes as tightly as I was closing the bag. When I woke up, the sun poured through my window, and my bed was illuminated by the morning light. I peered down at the crack in between my bed and the wall to find my phone, plugged in and wedged between my mattress and the frame my bed is held in. I sighed in relief and unlocked my phone to check up on my emails. The photo album was open. The only picture in the gallery was one of a hand, blood caked under the nails, strained inside of a leather suitcase.